Hello, my friends. I am so excited to be back after a long break in filming. My name is Dr. Bree. I'm a doctor of physical therapy and I specialize in pelvic health. So I've had a lot of people ask me for a guided weightlifting routine that's pelvic floor friendly and safe for issues like prolapse and all types of pelvic floor dysfunctions. So let's do this. We're going to do a routine that's going to help you prevent loss of muscle mass. It's going to keep your muscles strong, keep your body toned, and keep you feeling healthy and strong. You will not need heavy weights for this. I'm not going to show you with heavy weights. I'll be using 5-pound weights. And I encourage you to do this whole routine with lighter weights than you think you should. Start with less because you can always add more later. Now, if you want to really dive into total core and pelvic floor strengthening in a guided, gradually progressive way for people with pelvic floor issues like prolapse, then check out my Lift program. It's about how to live a pelvic floor safe lifestyle. So check that out and let's get right to the routine. My cat is meowing. She might be joining us. Let's get started. We are going to begin with practice of activating our core in a way that I call zipping up. So what you're going to do is exhale with a sh or a s sound and feel your pelvic floor lift as you do this. As you inhale, feel the expansion all around, and then as you exhale with that sh sound, feel your pelvic floor lift and your low belly pull inward. One more time practicing this, really feeling that lifting upward and gently pulling inward like you're zipping up a tight pair of jeans, feeling your ribs knitting in and your hip bones knitting together in the front. Feel that activation of your deep core. Now release and let go. Shake it out. And that zipping up feeling is what we're going to be doing as we transition between movements and as we pick up our weights. So zip up your core, make sure your butt is not tucked under, and you're going to exhale every time you lift something. So now that you're holding your weights, you can take a moment to release and relax, but we're going to now zip up and activate our core again. So feel that zipping up feeling like you're switching a dimmer switch up onto a higher setting, like you're turning a light on high. I want you to zip up and really hold that activation a little bit more now. Hold it the entire time, that zipped up feeling that you are doing biceps curls. So your zip up, your core activation is held the entire time that you're lifting these weights. You want to be sure that you're not thrusting or flaring your ribs forward, and also that you're not rocking back every time you curl your arms. Now, if you want more, you can add a little heel lift. Just make sure that you're not rocking forward and back. You're keeping your elbows close to your sides and you're curling straight up. Keep breathing, exhaling every time you lift. And now you can take a minute to release. You're not doing the reps of that biceps curls exercise. You're just holding the weight steady. You're not transitioning between movements. So just relax, let it go, release your pelvic floor, and now zip up again. So zip up your core, feel those front hip bones drawing together, your ribs knitting inward. Everything is strong. Keep that zipped up feeling as you do your hammer curls. So your palms are now facing toward each other, and you're curling your elbows. Keep your elbows close to your sides. And like before, don't flare your ribs forward. Do not rock back. And exhale every time you do that lift. If you want to add those heel raises, you can. This challenges your balance and works your calf muscles. But if it feels like too much, just stay steady. Don't do the heel lifts. Be sure you're exhaling with exertion, and now release and let go. Shake out your legs, relax your pelvic floor. Just take a minute to breathe and let your muscles rejuvenate. Now zip up your core again. So strongly lifted through the pelvic floor, low abs, low ribs are knitted in, and we're going to move into our next exercise, which is an overhead press. For this, you want your arms to be a little bit forward of your body so they're not back behind you by any means. And you're going to bend your knees, strong, wide base of support. In this exercise, it's really common to want to lean back. So do not lean back. Also, don't pop or thrust or flare your ribs forward. You want to keep your shoulders down as your arms go up. So don't let your shoulders creep up toward your ears, and keep breathing. Strong, zipped up core, exhaling with exertion this entire time. So breathing out when your arms go up, strong through that core, and then release the arms down. Now relax. So you don't want to relax your core until your arms are down and your hands are just resting at your sides. Now, you're going to exhale all your air out, bend your knees, and hinge at your hips. Strongly activate your core, so make sure you're zipped up and strong the whole time, and we're going to move into deadlifts. So your hands are just holding the weights, and you're using 100% your butt and hamstring muscles to make this happen. Your back will be active too, but you don't want your back to round or hunch. So keep your back straight, do not round or hunch, and you exhale every time you come up. Exhaling every time you come up, keeping your knees slightly bent and your back straight and strong, hinging at your hips. This is a butt and hamstring exercise, much more than it is an arm exercise, and you don't want to feel any pain in your back. The breathing is so important here to manage pressure. So make sure that you are exhaling strongly as you come up, squeezing your butt muscles as you come up to stand. And now, release carefully the weights toward the floor. We're going to do a hip extension. So strongly bend your standing leg. For me, it's my left leg. Strongly bend at the knee. The other leg is straight back behind you. Zip up your core, strong core. Try to keep your back flat. And again, that standing leg is bent, and you're just lifting your straight leg up toward the ceiling, really using your butt muscles. So for me, it's my right butt cheek is really active as I lift that right leg up toward the ceiling. Doing about 10 reps on each side here. So I'm using my weights. They're propped up and I'm using them for balance. Bend that standing leg as much as you need to and make sure that your core is strong and active. Again, you're using the weights to balance on. If this is too much, then you can use the wall or you can use a chair instead of your weights for balancing. Just make sure you feel supported. And keep breathing. Always keep breathing. Strong butt muscles, by the way, are very important for a healthy pelvic floor. So now release and shake out. Relax the butt muscles. Relax your pelvic floor. Maybe circle out your hips a few times. Totally relax and let go. Relax and let go. You don't want to be zipping up and extra active through the core the whole time. You want to give your body a chance to rest. But now we're moving into our next exercise. So zip up again. Strong through that core, nice and knitted in. Bend your knees, keep strong at the core, and you're going to come into our next exercise, which is a bent over row. Super strong core, flat back, bent knees. Really sit your tailbone toward the back of the room. You want to release that tailbone up toward the back of the room. Now you're drawing your elbows up toward the ceiling, squeezing your shoulder blades together. Make sure that you are flat through the back. Your tailbone is lifted and pointing toward the back of the room. Don't tuck your tailbone under. Squeeze those shoulder blades together. Exhale with exertion, meaning every time you lift, exhale. Now hold, and we're going to move right into triceps kickbacks. So straighten your arms. Keep your core strong and zipped up. Do not round your back. Do not tuck your tailbone under. Keep your back flat. Keep those knees bent. That tailbone is lifted toward the back of the room. And you're almost there. Really straightening those arms and then release. So carefully come up to stand. And then again, release and relax. If you need to push pause for a longer rest break to release your pelvic floor, relax everything you can. But if you're ready to keep going, then we're going to zip up the core again, strongly zipped up and active. You're going to come down again, grab your weights, and move into our next set of exercises. So exhale as you stand up. And still zipped up through your core. Make sure your core is strongly zipped up, supported pelvic floor and low abs. Bend those knees and come into a shoulder abduction. So you're bringing your arms straight out to the sides. Make sure that your elbows are really lifting so their elbows and upper arms are parallel toward the floor. You don't want to arch your back like I just showed. You want to keep your back long and tall. You want to keep your ribs drawn in so they're not thrusting forward. And again, make sure your arms are parallel to the floor. Try not to let your wrists be floppy. You want to keep your wrists neutral and keep breathing. Always exhale with exertion. Always core lifted and strong and zipped up as you're doing the exercises. And now we're going to go straight into our next exercise. So do not release your zip up. Keep your core super zipped up and strong. And we're going straight into a shoulder rotation exercise. This is more for mobility. I want you to really feel like you're not thrusting or popping your ribs. You want to keep everything zipped up and strong, knees are bent, and really feel your shoulder blades drawing together in the back. This is more about feeling those shoulder blades squeezing together and the back of the shoulder rotator area is activating. So really feel that as you open your arms, keeping your elbows pinned to your sides, opening your hands, and squeezing those shoulder blades. Hold the last one, hold it, hold it, hold it, and now release. And at this point, relax that pelvic floor, relax the legs, and prepare to come down to the floor. You're going to want to zip up. Every time you transition between positions, you want to zip up and breathe to manage your intra-abdominal pressure. Now, our next exercise that we're going to go into is a pullover exercise. So zip up your core, strong core. Make sure your ribs are drawn in. They're not thrusting up toward the ceiling. And you want to keep your back close to the floor this whole time. Do not let your back arch. So this requires strong and lifted pelvic floor. Strongly pulled in low abs as you drop your arms down toward the floor and then pull them up. So use your breath. Feel this activating your entire core. You might feel that your back wants to arch off the floor. Do not let it. You want to keep breathing, keep your core strong, and again, do not let this happen like I'm showing. Don't do that. You want to use your core muscles to really activate the pelvic floor, the low abs. If you want a little bit of help to activate your deep core muscles, you can squeeze a yoga block between your knees gently. That helps activate your pelvic floor and your low abs. You don't need the yoga block, but it can help to really keep the core muscles strong and turned on in the lower core and pelvic floor. So keep breathing as you do this pullover exercise. And remember, you can always go slower than I'm showing. Now, if you were using the block, you can remove it and just take a minute to relax and release before we move into our next exercise, which is going to be for the triceps. So when you're ready, you're going to zip up your core again. Pelvic floor lifts, low abs pull in. Bring your arms up overhead, and you're simply going to bend at your elbows, dropping the weights down toward your head. Now, don't actually crush your skull. So just bend at your elbows, and you're going to tap the weights toward your head, but don't crush your skull. So this is a strong exercise for your tricep muscles, the back of your arms. You want to exhale as you straighten your arms and keep your core active and strong. So again, zipped up the entire time. Now, we're going to move straight into our next move, which is a chest fly, working those pectoralis muscles. So you are going to almost be like you're hugging something with your arms. Don't arch your back, just like the other exercises. Do not arch, but it's almost like you're hugging something And I'll show you another view in just a second so you can see how it looks like a hug. Your arms are going out to the side, and then you exhale as they come together in that hug. Make sure that your core is zipped up and strong the whole time and that you are breathing. Never hold your breath. Exhale with exertion, meaning exhale during the hard part. Exhale as you bring your arms together in the case of this exercise. This helps manage intra-abdominal pressure and it keeps your pelvic floor safe. Now, take a minute to just rest. Our next exercise is a strong exercise for the glutes, so take a minute to breathe and relax. Now, zip up your core again, grab your weights, and place the weights on your hip creases. This is optional. If you don't want to put the weights on your hip creases, you don't have to. It just makes it harder. So you're going to come up into a bridge. You're using your butt muscles to lift your hips toward the sky and exhale as you lift the hips up. You can also press down into your heels of your feet. Press those hips up. And next, we're going to keep the hips elevated and do some hip thrusts. So it's like you keep the hips up the whole time, never touching down, and you just thrust those hips toward the ceiling. Keep breathing. Press down into your feet as your hips lift up, and then release down. That's a lot of work for the glutes. Such a great exercise. So now release and let go. Take a minute to stretch, pulling the knee toward the shoulder. Breathe and relax into the hips and the pelvic floor. Totally relax. Switch sides with that hip stretch. And it's really important to do this letting go work, this release work between sets of exercises. Circle out your hips if that feels good to you. And our last exercise that's a strengthener is on our hands and knees. So you always want to exhale as you transition between positions. You're going to be on your hands and knees now. Make sure your hips are over your knees and your shoulders are over your wrists. And you're coming into a push-up where your butt actually stays up in the air. So this is great for anyone with prolapse, keeping your butt high up in the air as your head reaches down toward the floor. Now I'm kind of reaching my head. I'm kind of cheating, so don't do what I do. Try to keep your head neutral as you do this exercise. And I'm showing an option now where you lift a leg. This makes it a lot harder. Now think of this as just an elbow bend where you're bending your elbows toward the back of the room. Another option that I'll show next as I switch sides and do my hip extension on the opposite side is you can point your elbows more out toward the sides of the room rather than straight back. It just works your arms and your chest muscles in a different way. Neither one is right, neither one is wrong. Just play around and see what you think. But the idea is you're bending your elbows and then straightening them. Bend and straighten, and always keep breathing. I was getting a little foot cramp there at the end, so that's why I'm laughing. Now, release and shake out your hands, shake out your wrists, and breathe. Relax and release your pelvic floor. Relax and release your shoulders. And the most important part of this whole routine, which, by the way, if you want more, you can repeat this whole routine. But the most important part is that you do a couple of stretches at the end. Take longer than I'm showing, but some hamstring stretches. You can do one of my other videos that I have. Do something to relax your body before you move on with your day or before you do this routine again. I love resting in hips up time. This helps rejuvenate the pelvic floor. It relieves pressure on the pelvic floor and it repositions the pelvic organs. So you're just putting a yoga block under the back of your pelvis, under your sacrum, and resting and just breathing. So thank you so much for participating in this workout. I hope you enjoyed it. You feel toned and strong, and be sure to visit me on my websites online. I'll see you next time.